got it. Let's take it out.
Calling.
Well, good morning, everybody. Hey, Norm, do you know, are they going to have a NACO legislative this year?
No.
Okay.
I don't believe so.
All right.
But I've not heard any format. I presume they'll still have an opportunity to put in interim resolutions, but I've not heard of any process.
Yeah, I've been invited to all these telephone Zooms, so I assume they weren't having them. I'm sorry, Chair Gabler. We should let you start.
Okay. Let's get all of our conversations out of the way.
Dan and I are sharing the same background. This is a problem.
Oh, I'm going to assume you're together. So start that room. Okay, with that, why don't we just call the meeting to order. Good morning, everyone. It's lovely to see all of your bright and shiny faces. Welcome to December and our board meeting, our last board meeting for 2020. And with that, let's see, we can establish a quorum. Do we have a quorum? I believe we do.
Yeah, looks like we have plenty.
Yes, we have a quorum. I can go ahead and go through the attendance list real quick to make sure I didn't miss anybody.
That'd be great. Thank you, Jessica.
Okay. All right. So I see Jill, Yolanda, John, Val, Stan, Cammie, Holly, Dick, William, Glant. Are there any board members that I have missed to call?
Did you say Sharon?
Sharon, I did not see you. You snuck in. All right. Got you. Anybody else? Nope. Oh, I see Dawn just signed on as well. So got you. All right. Just let me know in the chat if I missed you. And then when making a motion, just make sure to state your name so that we capture it in the recording and can hear it clearly. And then I turn it back to you, Chair.
Great. Thank you so much. Sharon, it's again really great to see you all clear without with that camera. So good morning. And Glant mentioned that she was signing off and coming back on. So, okay. Our next item on our agenda is to approve our agenda. So can I get a motion to approve this morning's agenda?
So moved.
Yolanda, move to approve.
Sharon, second.
Thank you, both of you. All those in favor, please say aye.
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 Okay. Thank you very much. And with that, we will move on to our public comments and presentations. We're going to, well, I'll start the meeting by asking if there's anyone on the line here today who would like to speak in public comments for any item that is not on today's agenda. If there are, I would gladly give up to 3 minutes for those conversations. Okay, with that, our next agenda item is to item A, Communities Working Together, our regional award. As many of you know, PPACG's theme is Communities Working Together. And this year, as you also know, we have started a new tradition where our board is recognizing an individual in our region that truly promotes that theme of communities working together and has demonstrated leadership and an outstanding ability to work across jurisdictional boundaries to improve our region. In the criteria developed for this award, we called out our former board member and former Woodland Park Mayor, Neil Levy, who passed away in August. We want the award recipient to exemplify the many wonderful qualities that Neil exhibited, to include listening to all sides of an issue and working toward consensus. Neil also always had a smile on his face, which I I think is important in working together. And I'm really thrilled to tell all of you that Neil's wife, Paula, has joined us this morning to help us give out our first award. So good morning, Paula, if you're there.
Yes, I'm here.
Oh, there you are. Good morning. And look, you have a smiling
Morning.
face too. It's really good to meet you. So
Thank you.
for our first ever Communities Working Together Regional Award, it is my honor I'm sorry. I know you're all waiting with bated breath to recognize Teller County Commissioner and PPACG Board Member Norm Steen. Norm was nominated by El Paso County Commissioner Holly Williams and was seconded by quite a few others. Many of us consider Norm a mentor, and we are all going to be very sad to have him leave the PPACG board. And I know we all cannot think of a better recipient of the inaugural Communities Working Together Award. So with that, congratulations, Norm.
Wow. Thank you.
I have another paragraph to read if you'd like me to read that, and then you can speak. Would you like that?
Sure.
Okay. Norm's leadership and commitment to PPACG and the region have truly been extraordinary in so many ways. He has been a tireless advocate for PPACG across the region and with the state, representing us on many state committees, including vice chair of the STAC. He helped lead the search for our new executive director, Andy Gunning, who's amazing. And he has been instrumental in our active engagement with our state legislative delegation and countless other efforts. He has truly helped to not only stabilize PPACG, but to elevate the organization in so many ways. Again, thank you, Norm.
Well, I guess everybody, well, Neil is a dear friend. I miss him every day. Paul, it's good to have you on the call today. Neil was a mentor to me in a lot of ways. We met many times over dinner at the Swiss. He called it Swiss, at Swiss Chalet, the restaurant. We would talk about a lot of things, and he was an amazing man. He was a great man, but probably more importantly, he was a good man. He cared deeply for people. He had an amazing outreach to kids. His program in baseball, and in so many other ways, I'm really humbled to. Wow. I think everybody in their life wants to do the right thing, and if you want to spend your time on things that are good. And PPACG is one of those things that is good. The ways that we work together across, we are really very different in terms of what we do and who we are as people and our priorities in many cases. But we through PPACG, we do come together in amazing ways and do some really, really important work. PPACG, one of the first things I came on, I had actually been attending PPACG for 6 months before I took office. In Teller County, we don't have general elections. We have them, but they're kind of one party. So when I was took the party's nomination in June in 2012, I began attending PPACG right away with a good friend Jim Ignatius. Maybe you remember Jim. Some of you don't. But because I saw early on that PPACG was something that was good, and so I've been a member of this organization for I guess going on 8.5 years now, and it's a great organization, and I'm going to miss you all. This is my last PPACG meeting. I may stop in just to say hello, but anyway, thank you so much. It's a great honor. Appreciate it.
Thank you, Norm. And I think we'd all be very happy to see you at future meetings. And Paula, would you like to say a few words?
Sure. Thank you for the opportunity. Norm, I was excited when they told me that you were going to be the recipient for this award. I know Neil thought greatly of you and looked to you as a mentor also. I don't know, for those of you who don't know, I look to Norm as a landlord because I lease my building, I lease his building for my nonprofit. But Neil spoke so highly of you and thought so highly of you. And I know he would be so humbled by this award and the legacy that he leaves. His one thing that he said as he reflected before he passed was that PPACG was one of the things he was going to miss most. He really loved the work that he did with the group. He loved the connections. He loved the relationships. He loved just, again, bringing people together and being with people that had the same goals and mission. And it was honestly one of his favorite things that he did, and he did a lot of things. So I'm thankful for the opportunity to speak. I'm honored that it was a Teller County recipient for the first award. And Norm, I'm just very, very happy for you. Thank you.
Well, thank you for sharing. I guess in some way we're sharing Neil's name. You're more important than me, but thank you.
You're welcome.
Thank you both. Thank you, Paula. There's some really nice notes in the chat, and oh, there's the plaque that you'll be receiving, Norm. It's very lovely. Are there any board members who'd like to say anything before we move on to the next item?
This is Yolanda. I would.
Okay,
Thank
go ahead.
you. Paula, thank you so much for sharing your husband. We really appreciate it. And I'm happy the time that we were able to spend with him. And Norm, congratulations. You've displayed amazing leadership. You've always been even keel. And I love the way you ran the meetings at PPACG when you were the chair. So just a huge congratulations, and I wish you the very best on your next endeavor.
Thank you. Anyone else?
Madam Chair, this is Stan, if I might.
Of course, Stanley.
Thank you. First of all, Paula, thank you for being part of our ceremony this morning. That means a lot to me. And you know, I got to know Neil later than many others in this board, but I also got to know him well. And he also invited me up to the Swiss, and we had lunch there. And it was a great conversation. And you know, one of the takeaways I have of Neil is that he's a gentleman's gentleman. What a great legacy to leave. I think this award and these recognitions are exactly the kind of thing that we need to do, you know, to celebrate great people working hard for their community. And it really doesn't make any difference whether we're perfect or not, because none of us are. But we celebrate what we can do together, and to do it in a respectful way. Neil embodied that. And I can't think of a better first recipient than Norm, because he fits that characteristic as well. A gentleman's gentleman. Always a pleasure to work with, always respectful, always willing to work with anybody, and just try to do things for the community. So congratulations to Norm. And I just think what we're doing in PPACG, creating this award, honoring Neil, and all of these things, it's just outstanding. So congratulations, Norm, well deserved.
Thank you, Stan. I will note in the chat, Mayor Carr wrote, "Thank you, Norm. I'm wearing the Panther hat in honor of Neil's Panther baseball team, who Neil coached." Yeah. Okay, well, thank you very much to all of you. And thank you, Paula, for taking the time to be with us today. It means a lot to us. And with that, the next item is the farewell to both Norm and Andy Pico. Andy, I do not believe is on the line yet. He emailed me and said he would join us around 9:30. So if it's okay with the board, I'd like to move on and come back when Andy is back. Is that okay? Maybe not. Okay. And I know we have several board members who will be leaving at 11 for the region address, so I will move through things as well as I can. The next item on our agenda is our consent items. As you can see, there are 3 items on the consent agenda. If no one would like to move one of those items off, I would appreciate a motion to approve the consent agenda.
Commissioner Williams, so moved.
Thank you.
Dick Elsner, second.
Thank you, Dick. Okay, we have a motion and a second. All those in favor, please say aye.
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 Are there any nays? Thank you. I appreciate the thumbs up, Cami. It helps me. Okay, with that, we'll move on to our presentations. And our one presentation today is CDOT's statewide safety plan and target setting. And I believe Elisa Babler, is that how to pronounce that, is on the line. I see you smiling.
Good morning.
Welcome, Elisa. It's what?
Babler.
Babler. Okay. I apologize.
No worries. I've heard worse. So I will try to share my screen. Oh, I can't share it. So are you going to share my presentation, Catherine?
Go ahead and try now.
Okay.
There we go. Now I can share.
There we go. Can you see it?
Oh, you got it. Okay.
Okay. I don't use this platform as often, so I want to make sure you can see it. Well, good morning, everyone. And yes, I'm sitting here thinking I want to attend your meetings more often if they're all like this. That was a very special presentation, so I appreciated being able to be there and a tough act to follow. So really quickly, we were just asked to present really quickly on the safety performance measures that CDOT has set this year. And so I have a very short presentation, and then I can entertain questions for you if you have any. Anything else for me. So back in 2016, FHWA, the Federal Highway Administration, issued the effective rule that is now codified that we have to set 5 performance measures as a state. And they also said that the MPOs can either set your own measures or you can just support CDOT's measures. And I believe the last time I checked, Pikes Peak has adopted the state's measures in the past, and I'm assuming you will in the future. But I think there were some questions of what those measures were. So the 5 measures are the number of fatalities or people who died, the fatality rate in Colorado, the number of serious injuries, the serious injury rate, and then the non-motorized fatalities and serious injuries combined. So what that looks at is the number of people who are dying or being injured on our roadways, and then the rates based on the volume of traffic in Colorado. And there were some definitions on how to do that. It's based on a 5-year average. So we look at 5 years of data. That way, if there's an uptick or something odd, like, I don't know, COVID, it doesn't create a change in those measures drastically from one anomaly that we might have. The target is a 5-year average from 2017 to 2021. So we're setting it based on what we think we're going to do next year. The baseline measure is from 2015 to 2019. And so then what we're actually going to do is we're going to look at the 5-year average of our crashes based on the actual numbers and also on the baseline. And so we either have to have met our targets or what they consider significant progress, which is when they look at that baseline average. And so the consequences of not making that average is fiscal, and it changes the obligation of the Highway Safety Improvement Program funding authority, and we have to put more money into the safety plan, and it's all tied into the way we spend our safety dollars. Here are the 5 targets that we set this year. I decided I wouldn't bore you. I was asked to keep this short, so I'm not boring you with all of the different analyses. But these are the actual targets. The number of fatalities is 603. Fatality rate is 1.113. Serious injuries is 3,161. Serious injury rate, 5.828. And non-motorized users, fatalities and serious injuries combined is 551. And remember, this is an average using from 2017 to 2021, so it's that projected 21 number. The way we looked at this, we used the Strategic Transportation Safety Plan goals this year. That was where a number of people around the state helped us develop those goals, and we wanted to go ahead and match those. So the goal is a 15% reduction by 2023 for all of the performance measures, a 2% reduction from 2019 for 2020, and 4.6% reduction from 2020 to 2021 targets. We did look at some trend analyses. We looked at the number of crashes. We looked at the VMT, and we tried to look at trends in both volume and crashes. And we did a number of different analyses, statistical analysis of all the different targets, make sure that we didn't see anything really trending differently from what the strategic plan had. And we also considered other outside influences on this, including funding, population growth, vehicle registrations, just to try to capture as many of the variables as possible. And so with that, that's the end of this presentation, and I can entertain questions if you have any. And then I did want to make one other plug. Hot off the presses, we just finished this week coding the first half of the 2020 crash data. That means that my staff has gone through and tried to catch as many of the errors in the data as possible and cleansed it and coded it and added the location of crashes to highways. And we have that ready. So if any of your local agencies are needing crash data, that data is now available for us to share with local partners.
Great. Thank you, Alyssa. Thanks for this presentation. I really appreciate it. I haven't heard COVID be referred to as odd. Very
I hope
odd.
it's a one-off, and I don't want to see it again.
Agreed. Are there any questions from board members? Okay, well, I guess you were very thorough. We appreciate your time.
Thank you.
Okay, that takes us on to the action items for today, of which there are many, but I think we can move through them pretty quickly. Is Andy by chance on the line yet? Okay, just checking. The first action item is the fiscal year 21 through 24 TIP amendment. Is that Catherine?
Yes, good morning. Catherine Wenger, Transportation Planner, PPACG. So we do have a TIP amendment. This, sorry, let me pull up my document. All right. So we do have a TIP amendment request for our fiscal year 21 through 24 TIP. It is amendment number 7. So in August and October, we sent out emails, PPACG staff that is, we sent them to TAC members regarding availability of 162,729 FY21 and then 759,283 for FY22 federal SDP Metro funds, and then also additional 236,688 in FY21 TAP funds for project cost overruns. So this is for any projects that are currently listed in our TIP document that need additional funds for projects. So the email did provide a questionnaire application for anyone that wished to request them. And we received 3 applications from, and I'll discuss that in just a moment. We did hold a project selection workshop on November 9th to discuss recommended allocations and for the proposed TIP amendment. So that is what you see in the table below is the recommendations that came out of that workshop. Additionally, PPACG is now the designated recipient of FTA 5310 funds. And so we have requested an amendment to change the sponsor of the 5310 funds in the TIP to PPACG. We also need to roll forward some funds from FY 2018 and 2019 that were not spent. And then we also are requesting to update FY 22, 23, and 24 allocation estimates based on an FTA suggestion. We were underestimating how much we were going to get in future years. And that actually might change again, but we're just going to update them for now so we have an idea of how much money we might be able to spend in the region for the next 4 years. So just a quick overview of the TIP amendment request based on those requests. We have monument would, for their Jackson Creek Parkway project, would add additional, and this is coming out of the recommendations from that workshop, would get additional $500,000 in SDP Metro for their cost overruns, and they would add their local match requirements as well. MMT would get additional $200,000 in TAP for their transit planning studies to utilize the funds to do a Southwest Chief and Front Range passenger rail study, and they would also add their local match funds as well. And then we also have 3 different changes to the El Paso County projects for local match replacements for their El Paso County Wetland Bank, Arnold Bridge replacement, and their ADA inventory improvements. These would add FY STP Metro funds and TAP funds to those 3 projects to replace the local match requirements using toll credits. And the funds that they're replacing for the local match would then be used for their I-25 gap project to help make up for the funds that they owe there. And then the final one you see is from the PPACG, outlining the changes I mentioned before. And so the TAC and CAC both recommend approval, and I can take any questions.
Questions from board members? These all appear to be great projects, especially passenger rail. And I will just note that I really appreciated seeing the article in the paper that the county is stepping up funding for the GAP project. So thank you, commissioners. And if we don't have any questions, I would appreciate a motion to approve the TIP amendment.
Commissioner Williams, I would move to approve the TIP amendment.
Thank you, Commissioner.
Commissioner Bremer seconds.
Thank you, Commissioner. We have a motion and a second. All those in favor, please say aye.
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 Okay, any nays? Motion passes. Thank you, everyone. Okay, is anybody here? Okay, let's move on. Item B, federal functional classification change request for monument. And I can't remember who's leading that.
It's me again, Catherine.
Catherine.
Thanks, Jill. All right. So PPACG has received a request from Monument to change their functional classification of Jackson Creek Parkway from a local road to a major collector. So based on the CDOT manual, where there's a link below in your memo, and a preliminary review by the PPACG staff, we believe the request aligns with CDOT and the federal highway guidelines and policies. And so approval of this request would ensure that Jackson Creek Parkway is eligible for federal funding. So we want to make sure that they can get funding for that project. Quick, short background on the functional classification of roadways and highways. It creates a hierarchy of roadways to properly channel transportation movements through the highway network efficiently and cost effectively. CDOT actually maintains that categorized roadway network consistent with the federal functional classification based on federal rules and regulations. So it does get approved by federal highway, but CDOT maintains that system and ensures compliance. So a quick summary on how this change request process occurs within an MPO area specifically. It starts with the local agency asking for the change, or it can be the MPO that initiates the change as well. But the local agency will fill out the required information in the letter template, which you actually have attached from Monument. It's attachment 1 is their letter of information that they require to provide us. So they send that to us, the MPO. We review it as staff, ensuring it aligns with the policies and guidelines in the manual. And then we take it through the boards for you all to approve. And then it goes to CDOT for review and approval there. And then finally off to federal highway for final approval. And once they approve it, then CDOT incorporates it into their system and makes sure that it's updated properly there. So with that, PPACG staff and TAC and CAC have all reviewed their request and recommend approval for the change. And I can take any questions.
Sorry, I was muted. Thank you, Catherine. Are there any questions from board members?
I can say from Commissioner Williams, this is in my district. I know it's in Mayor Wilson's area. This is huge to get this changed. It's a very clogged area. We need to get the road widened. So I would certainly ask for your support because this is a very good area of high growth. And we're looking forward to getting some nice businesses in along there to help generate some sales tax. And I think it is overall beneficial, especially to the town of Monument and to the Lewis Palmer High School kids.
Great. Thank you, Holly. Would you like to say anything, Mayor Wilson?
No, I agree with Holly. We were surprised to find that this wasn't already in place, and it was kind of assumed that it always had been a major collector. So thank the PPACG staff and the other groups for speeding this process up.
Yeah, I thank them too. Okay, are there any other questions, comments? Okay, if not, I would appreciate a motion to approve this classification change.
Councilwoman Yolanda, move to approve.
Thank
John
you.
Wilson, second.
Thank you. We have a motion and a second. All those in favor, please say aye.
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 Any nays? Great, motion passes. On to item 3, the distribution of FTA 5310 funds and mobility coordination program update.
Thank you, Madam Chair. This is Laura Cruz, Mobility Coordinator.
Wow.
Hi. I have 3 things to bring before you guys today. As you know, we have been working diligently to become the designated recipient of FTA 5310 funds for the Colorado Springs urbanized area. In October, we received a letter from the governor approving the transfer of 5310 funds to PPACG starting in January. During our planning process with both FTA and MMT, we identified a potential 6-month gap in funding for the human service providers who provide services to this area for specialized transit. And as a result of that, we were trying to figure out a way to close this gap that is detailed in the board memo. And we were able to work with FTA, and FTA is granting us essentially an emergency provision to be able to provide funding for the HSP starting January 1, should we get all of our things together for FTA to get started. And so before you today are three things that I'm asking and we are asking for approval on so that we can move forward and be prepared to start the program January 1. The first one is just the release of funds. We have, as Catherine mentioned, funds from FY19 as well as FY 2020 that are allocated to us that we would like to draw down for this emergency period. During the emergency period, I do want the board to know that we will be working towards launching our full call for projects and the process that we outlined in our program management plan of how we are going to select agencies and their projects to move forward in a formal 5310 program starting in July 1st of next year. So I'm asking for, and we are asking for, approval of being able to expend funds starting January 1 through June 30th, 2021. Those funds will be approximately $300,000 that will be going towards that program during that 6-month period. We have $970,000 in the 2020 and 2019 5310 funds available to us. So that's point 1. Point 2 is approval of our program management plan. We presented in the October board meeting a draft of the program management plan of how we are going to facilitate the program moving forward and manage it. We have to seek approval for the board for a final draft of that plan. However, that draft is still in review with FTA. We have completed our first review process with FTA, and I submitted a second draft of the recommendation with the recommendations to FTA last week. It will go through a second review in the next couple of weeks for a final review at the end of this month. However, we need board approval on the draft moving forward so that we can start in January. So we're seeking approval from the board to move forward with the program management plan as presented in October. I will say that there was very few minor edits that was asked of us from FTA. So we did a great job, and thankfully Dr. Cog really helped us out through that process because they had just completed it. Lastly, in your board packet, there is a resolution for Andy to be designated as the authorized user in the TRAMS system, which TRAMS is the FTA grant management system. It is allowing Andy to designate staff to work within that system. And so with that, it's just a form resolution with FTA, just allowing Andy to become that designated authorized person to authorize others to work within that system. So those are the three things that we are asking the board to approve today.
It's a high priority today.
Thank you, Laura. Are there any questions?
I'm sorry.
Well, go ahead, Stanley.
Yeah, thank you. Maybe a quick question. So I think we need to go forward with this and so forth, but on accepting the draft of the program management plan, what's the pathway forward to get us to acceptance of a final plan?
So what will happen is, as I said before, we have done our first edits based upon public comments that were made during October, as well as suggested edits from FTA. I submitted those edits to FTA for a second review last week. And so they're trying to quickly turn that around to me with other suggestions that they may have from program oversight, because program oversight has actually not reviewed it. So we will have a second round of edits. And after those reviews are submitted to me, I have to quickly turn that around because our start date is January 1, submit that to them, and then we will have an actual final program management plan to present to the board in January.
Okay, so approval of the final plan in January is the planned approach for that.
Yes, but we also have to have approval of the draft moving forward so that we can start our program in January. We're in an awkward situation. I will say that. As FDA is calling it, this is just an emergency approach that all was initiated at the end of October. So we're sort of cramming 6 months of work into 2 months. But I will say that we've had high praise from FTA of being able to bring it together and get our HSPs ready for January 1.
Yeah, thank you. I don't think I have a problem with, you described it as an awkward situation. I don't think I have a problem with that because we want to go down a path of trying to make sure we don't interrupt service. So, a little bit different than a standard process, but a standard process would have had more time to get us through this. So for me, it was just really more a question of what are we going to do from a process point of view going forward to get this all completed. But I think you've explained that. So I'm good. Thank you.
Thank you for your question.
Other questions? Okay. Well, thank you, Laura. If there are no other questions or comments, I would appreciate a motion to approve the distribution of the FTA 5310 funds and mobility coordination program.
This is Sharon. Move to approve.
Yolanda, second.
Thank you. We have a motion and a second. All those in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Aye.
Any nays? Okay, motion passes. Thank you, everyone. On to our next item, which is the update of the Colorado State Commission on Aging.
Good morning, Commissioner members and Chair Gabler. As you know, last meeting, you approved moving forward with, and we will update our future reports to the Pikes Peak Area Commission on Aging. Our goal is to stand this up within our structure. You had asked me to complete bylaws, membership makeup, as well as a statement of work, and all three of those are provided here. I hope you had an opportunity to review those. I will call out the bylaws. Those were based on the current PPACG bylaws template, so actually very, very similar to the Regional Advisory Council under the AAA. So the membership makeup, we would love to have representation from every single jurisdiction. And so we've provided that opportunity, and the commission will, with this final vote, allowing us to move forward on January 6th at their next scheduled meeting, will, like I mentioned, become the Pikes Peak Area Commission on Aging. And we will move forward with a crossover from the recent past membership. And we will bring a formal slate of those as we begin the process for approval, and just to introduce you at some point in a future meeting. Those members coming on, having been part of the commission, some of them for just a few months and some of them for several years, will create a fantastic opportunity during this transition, so we can get right to work. I am open for questions.
Are there questions from board members? Jody, I just really appreciate your fast work on this, and I am really excited about getting this going in January, so thank you. If there are
Thank you, I appreciate it. We had a first work session in an interim early December, which would have normally been a meeting time. We went ahead and put that together with some of our staff, and we already have folks interested from the community, as well as from some of our commissioners here and jurisdictions. So we are ready to roll. Thank you.
I'm really
just
glad.
looking for a vote to approve this so we can move forward.
I got it. I'm glad to hear that there's lots of people wanting to support our aging issues. Sharon, did you have a question?
Yeah, are we appointing primaries and alternates like on the other boards?
We will, but not today. Today we are just approving.
Yeah, I get it. Just so we can be looking, right?
Yes.
Yes, absolutely.
Okay.
Okay. Other questions?
Okay. Excuse me. This is William Shaw here. As far as aging adults goes, based off of a situation I'm currently dealing with myself, how do we support adult protective services through all this? Because I know right now, once an elderly person passes, their investigations cease. You know, what kind of support can we offer to try and help family members dealing with difficult situations to carry their investigations a little farther?
Yeah, so the Adult Protective Services is actually a division of the Department of Human Services and part of the county, El Paso County Health and Human Services. So we would normally be directing those referrals directly to APS. I would be happy to receive a phone call or email with any questions you might have specific to that situation, so I can help guide you through some appropriate referrals.
That would be great. You know, I know the situation that I'm in, and I know I'm not the only person in, Colorado that deals with this, and whatever communities can pull together to help give APS more support to further their investigations, I think that would be a greater advantage to the general population.
Yeah, feel free to, I'll put my email address in the chat and be happy to connect with you to figure out what we can do. We are completely separate, as you know, from CDHS and APS, but we do work closely. And so maybe we can come up with some solutions for you or some guidance.
Yeah, well, that's what my point of my question and stuff is, you know, just to give them more support, you know, so they can do their job more effectively. You know, I mean, we got to pull together and work as a community to try and solve a lot of these issues. And that's, not a lot of that is really going on, which enables more problems to arise against individuals and family circumstances. So that's the point of my question, you know, here again is just how can we give them more support to help them do their job. So
we appreciate your
yeah,
concern,
if you can,
Shaw. So please reach out to Jody and he can further assist you in on this issue. Thank you for your comment.
Okay. Thank you.
Okay, with that, if there are no other questions, I would appreciate a motion to approve the Pikes Peak Area Commission on Aging's bylaws, their statement of work, and their membership makeup, their composition. And the approval today allows a start of January 1st, 21.
Move approval, John Graham.
Thank you, Mayor.
Second, Nornstein.
Thank you, Commissioner. We have a motion and a second. Is there any more discussion? And all those in favor, please say aye.
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 Aye. Fabulous. Thank you, everyone. Motion passes unanimously.
Thank you.
Thank you, Jody. Okay, on to the next item, which is the approval of the 21 PPACG Ozone Advance Plan.
Hi, can you all hear me?
Yes, good morning, Samantha.
Great, yes, good morning, members of the board. I'm Samantha Bailey, the Environmental Planner for PPACG. I understand that you all have a tight agenda today, so I'll make this brief. Within your board packet is the final version of the 2021 PPACG Ozone Advance Plan. Over the last few months, I've brought to you our Ozone Advance Plan to be submitted to the Environmental Protection Agency this upcoming January. The Advance Plan promotes local actions and attainment areas, like our region, to reduce ozone pollution to help those areas continue to maintain the ozone standard of the Clean Air Act. PPACG is the first in Colorado to participate in this program, and all that's required of us is an annual report of our efforts we're conducting to lower ozone pollution, as well as future strategies. The plan also includes additional content, like our regional air quality data and efforts from our partner organizations. You approved the list of strategies within the plan back in October, and the PPACG Air Quality Technical Committee and the PPACG Community Advisory Committee approved this final plan back in November. And I hope you'll approve this final plan today so we can submit it to EPA by the January deadline. Are there any questions?
Questions? That was very fast, Samantha.
You guys have been seeing me for the last few months, so I figured, you know.
Norm, do you have a question?
Just a comment. I saw that we are the only first ones in the state of Colorado to have such a plan. How is it that we're in the lead on this, even over Dr. Cog, for example?
So you can only participate if you're in attainment. So the Denver region does not qualify. I have notified a few areas within the western side of the state and some of our northern partners. The city of Aspen and the city of Boulder have reached out to me and are interested in participating in this program. So I think we just beat them to it.
Okay, good for you. Good
Yeah.
leadership.
Any other questions? Okay, with that, I would appreciate a motion to approve the PPACG 2021 EPA Ozone Advanced Program Plan.
Madam Chair, this is Stan. I'd like to make a motion to approve the PPACG 2021 Ozone Advance Plan.
Thank you, Stan.
Commissioner Williams, second.
Thank you, Holly. Is there any more discussion on this item? Okay, well, I love that we're winning. So all those
Me too.
Aye.
Aye.
Aye. Any nays? Okay, well, congratulations, Samantha and PPACG.
Thank you. Yes, thank you all.
Okay, on to item F, which is our 21 legislative priorities.
Good morning, board members.
Morning, Jessica.
Jessica McMullen, your Policy and Communications Manager, and I am here today to present the proposed 2021 legislative priorities. These were, the Legislative Committee reviewed what we had approved for 2020 and wanted to discuss the current expectations for the upcoming legislative session, role of PPACG, and our legislative themes. As you know, we typically give a handout to all of our legislators, telling them what our major concerns and issues are going to be for the upcoming year, what we see as the PPACG priorities. These are the ones that the Legislative Committee are proposing. In your packet, you saw that there are pretty much one section that was changed, and that was an inclusion section. In addition to our other overarching and general legislative themes, protecting and enhancing services for seniors, protecting and enhancing transportation, supporting air and water quality, supporting and protecting our military partnerships, and regional quality of life, this year the committee is asking us to add support pandemic recovery. This includes plan for deployment of vaccines, assistance and support for older adults, expanding testing capabilities, and supporting economic recovery. Those are the changes to this year. And at that, I'd like to ask if the Legislative Committee has any comments they'd like to add.
And this is Commissioner Stan. And Dick, if you've got any comments, you see on the line?
Yes, I am.
Yeah, okay, great. Go ahead.
You know, my primary comment is, of course, the first thing we do is oppose unfunded mandates to local governments, which is kind of the overarching. Those are the most important things, is to make sure that in all of their efforts to support pandemic recovery and everything else, they don't push the costs down to local governments, because we're in the same situation as everybody else. But other than that, everything is the same that we had used last year. It was working quite well. We were getting somewhere, of course, until March of last year, and then the world fell apart. So, you know, I believe our legislative themes are quite good and really address what's important to our region.
And this is Stan. Thank you, Dick. I support exactly what Dick said as well. You know, the overarching theme, supporting local control, opposing unfunded mandates, and supporting legislation that reduces unnecessary regulations or eliminates redundancy. We haven't changed those at all. We've had those before and they've been approved, and we're continuing with those, or recommend we continue with those. So the one addition is supporting pandemic recovery, as Jessica stated, and let us hope that we only need to include that this year for the 2021 legislative themes. But I think it's an appropriate thing for 2021. That's the year that we'll be working really hard at trying to recover from the pandemic. So I think they're appropriate in there. And I believe the state has some scope of action and some capability to assist in these areas that we've identified. So my recommendation would be that this board supports the addition of this line to support pandemic recovery. And there are no other changes in the legislative themes anywhere else other than this ad.
Are you making a motion, Stan?
Certainly, I'll make a motion to support, to approve the 2021 legislative priorities as stated in the package.
This is Dick Elsner. I'll second that.
Thank you, Dick. Is there any other conversation on this item? Okay, with that, I would ask those who are in favor to please say aye.
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 Any nays? Okay, motion passes unanimously. We are moving through, making Andy happy. Okay, our next item is the 2021 work program.
This one is also with me. So Jessica McMullen, your Policy and Communication Manager. The 2021 work program. Every year, PPACG staff members sit down and provide our board members with a document that says what we're going to do. Strategic plan tells you all where we're going, and this document tells you how we're going to get there and what we're doing this year. The 2021 plan you saw last month, the CAC saw and also recommended approval to the board. The main thing that I did want to call out to you all, on pages 6 and 7 of the work program, we really highlighted what those 2021 major projects are. Some of those are ones that very much summarize with what we just talked about. Support for the senior community through the COVID pandemic, including CARES Act funding. Transportation, the Tri-County study and freight study. You've seen a lot of those things moving on. The joint land use study, continuing to pursue new grant opportunities so that we continue to stay connected with our local military partners. In environment, the Ozone Advanced Strategies program. In other things, our legislative advocacy, our coordination with city, town, and county managers. So those were just some of the highlights I wanted to pull out. There's more there. I'm sure you all looked at them. Did anyone have any questions or comments about this from what you saw last month or what you've seen this month?
Questions from board members?
Jessica, this is Norm. I noticed that on the major projects on page 6, a few of them have a question mark behind them. Is that a qualified yes, or waiting on some additional guidance to execute that piece?
Those were ones where, as we report back to you, we'll be letting you know how that progressed and how we were engaged. Okay. The 2020 census, for example, is completed, so we don't know if the local complete count committee is going to need any additional follow-up with us. So that's a great example of where there's still a question mark, where we're here for them. We are definitely focusing on information sharing and data development. But the census is an example. It's in here because it's highly important, and we wanted to call it out as an example, but it may not be something that I tell you we did a census item when I report back to you next year. Well, at the end of 2021.
Okay, thank you.
Other questions? Okay, if not, I would appreciate a motion to approve the 2021 work program.
Commissioner Williams, I move to approve the 2021 work program.
Did I say 2020?
Move to second, John Graham.
Thank you, Mayor. Okay, we have a motion and a second for the 2021 work plan. All those in favor, please say aye.
Aye. Aye.
Okay, motion passes unanimously. The next item, the penultimate item, is the proposed slate for the 2021 Executive Committee members. I think we're going to pull that up. Okay, so the nominating committee, and thanks to the nominating committee for working on this issue, has put together the following slate, which is on your screen. The chair being Commissioner Stan Vanderwerf, first vice chair, Councilwoman Sharon Thompson, second vice chair, Councilwoman Yolanda Avila, secretary, Commissioner Dick Elsner, and treasurer, Mayor Don Wilson. So at this point, I recommend you accept the proposed slate, but if there's any other potential nominations, now is the time to do that. Okay, with that, I would entertain a motion to accept the recommended slate for next year's officers.
Madam Chair, this is Norm Steen. I led the committee. We met on November 24th, and I would move to adopt the slate as presented.
Thank you, Commissioner. Is there a
Commissioner
second?
Bremer seconds.
Thank you, Commissioner. Is there any other discussion on this item? Then I ask for those who in support to vote by signifying by say aye.
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 Any nays? Motion passes unanimously. Congratulations to all of you. Starting next month, you will be running the show, so congratulations.
Madam Chair, just to point that was a slate. Is there another action, formal action in January to formally adopt the slate and elect? Is that?
Thank you. I didn't realize that.
Yeah, well, we don't have
You're exactly right. I'm remembering. I still have to start that meeting, and then yes, okay. Thank you, Andy. Okay, we are on to the last action item, which is the Executive Director evaluation. And Barb will be introducing this item. And the hope was that we would send you the memorandum that we will be approving today in advance. And it just got sent to you right before the meeting. So I ask you to go to your inbox and look that up. And that will help us with this conversation. Barb, are you there?
I'm here. Good morning. Barb Watson, PPACG HR Manager. So we've come to the end of the cycle for the 2020 evaluation of Andy. I resent the memo out this morning as Councilmember Gabler indicated, and it was a little bit before the start of the meeting so that you can review it for approval today. At the board meeting on November 18th, the board went into closed executive session with Andy present and gave him input on his 2020 performance. Andy managed a very difficult year in an exceptional manner. The board made a recommendation for a 2.8% salary increase and a bonus of additional vacation hours. Council member reviewed and approved the memo that will be given to Andy, and I emailed it to you, like I said this morning. So what I'm asking for is your approval of the memo.
Okay, the memo includes the information Barb mentioned along with the goals, Andy's goals for 2021. So I just want to make sure everybody is comfortable with those goals. And I echo Barb's comments about Andy's performance over this past year. It has been exemplary and unprecedented in the wake of such an unusual circumstances. And he has kept the ship not only afloat, but going in the right direction, and not to be too nautical about it, but then it's been a difficult year, and I just cannot say enough about how he's hired new staff. He continued to implement our strategic plan, handled legislative issues, and it's just been an unusual time. So I just want to say thank you to Andy for all his hard work, and I wish we could do more to honor your efforts in 21. So if is there any other discussion or comments on the memorandum? And if not, I would appreciate a motion to approve.
I think Elsner would make a motion to approve.
Okay.
Or Holly can make that motion.
No, and this is Commissioner Williams. I'll second. I just can't tell you, it's just been a pleasure to have Andy at the head of this organization. So.
Thank you, Holly, and thank you, Dick. Any other comments? Andy, did you want to say anything?
Just thank you so much for all of your support. This is a great board to work with and to work for. But even in some ways, more importantly, it's just a great team to work with. We have just an awesome cadre of professionals here at PPACG, and they make us all very proud just every single day in so many unique ways, especially in the difficult year we've had this year, and have just really been knocking it out of the park in so many ways. So it's been a pleasure, but thank you so much.
Thank you, Andy. Okay, well, if there is no other discussion, I would ask you to vote to say aye if you agree with this memorandum.
Aye.
Aye.
Are there any nays?
Aye.
Any nays? Okay, Thank you.
Thank you so much.
And congratulations, Andy. A whole extra 24 hours to not work. It's very exciting. Okay, I do see that Councilmember Andy Pico is in the house. So before we go to our reports, I would love to circle back to our public comments presentations portion of the meeting and have Andy lead off the presentation to wish our outgoing board members farewell.
Andy Dos, Andy 2, not Andy Uno, correct? Will always be Andy Uno. But thank you. We can't thank you enough, Andy and Norm. This is your last meeting with us, and I didn't realize it was 8.5 years, Norm, but that's just an amazing run. And we can't thank you enough on behalf of the staff here at PPACG for all of your support, Norm and Andy, your generosity of your time for us as an organization and for us as a region. And you've been incredibly generous, both of you, with your time with me to get me up to speed as I made that long and harrowing transition from moving back east to here to start up to get involved in this organization. And it has been incredibly rewarding in so many ways. And I can't thank you enough for your leadership, your wisdom, and your support of all of this. And hard shoes to fill and to replace, but you've made it so much easier now, I think, to pass the baton from my observation, from one board to the next, from one slate of officers to the next, with all the outstanding work that you've put into PPACG. So thank you very much. And we'll open it up to others, I suppose, that want to say thank you and offer other parting comments.
I'll just say that I guess I didn't realize that Norm had been on the board just a few months longer than I have. And of course, Andy came in with me, and you both make me feel like such a slacker. So thank you for how hard you have worked during our time on the PPACG board. And as Andy stated, Andy Dos, the work that you took on to hire our new executive director and get him on board and settled and up to speed was heroic. And I was watching is the fair word. And I am greatly appreciative because we have a great captain of the ship, another nautical term that I'm all doing for Andy Pico, by the way. So thank you both. And I'm just glad I won't have to be here much longer after both of you are gone. So thank you.
So Andy Pico, what are your assignments at the state legislature? We hope transportation.
Well, that's what I've asked for, but I haven't heard the actual assignments come down just yet.
Okay.
But it should be transportation, local affairs should be one of them.
Nice.
For obvious reasons.
This is Yolanda, Councilwoman. Andy, we did this great tribute to you yesterday, and we were trying to make you cry, but you didn't get there. I don't know if you were
close.
Yeah,
Okay.
And so my remarks are to you in terms of PPACG. I think you were chair of PPACG, and you went through a really rough time before we all brought on Andy Gunning. And that was a rough time. And you actually have helped us through this COVID crisis and coming to the other side as we work through it. So you've worked through the good, the bad, and the ugly. And I really appreciate that. You also supported me in talking to me about when I asked questions about the process or what was going on to bring me up to speed. That was such a great help to me in getting on board and being a good member of PPACG. So I'd like to thank you so much for that. And we're going to have another thank you for utilities. So you're going to get well-deserved accolades. And Norm, I just want you to know that I've appreciated working with you the last 4 years, and you've done pretty much what Andy's done in going through the good, the bad, and the ugly, and the great now. So I appreciate you both for your leadership. Very strong, consistent, kind, confident, and moving this organization forward. So thank you both. You'll both be missed.
Thank you, Alana.
Thank you, Alana. I appreciate that very much.
Anyone else? Okay, there are some nice comments in the chat, so please go look at that. And
Madam Chair, this is Commissioner Brenner.
Go ahead, Cammie.
Hi. You know, I just wanted to say that I'm sad to see you both go, because I've really appreciated on several occasions, and I can name a few examples from each of you, in the way that you've often, you know, this board is really unique because we deal with the nitty gritty of a tip transportation plan and ozone levels and everything else. But at the same time, we're supposed to be kind of the strategic leaders of this. And I've watched both of you very savvily and deftly raise the level of the conversation about like, where do we want to actually be as a region and as an organization. And you have both taught me a lot about how and when to do that appropriately. I look up to both of you a tremendous amount, and I'm really personally sad that I won't have more overlap time to hone in my skills in that way, because you guys are both very, very skilled at that. So best wishes. I know you'll do great things, and continue to just know that that's what the newbie noticed about both of you. And so whatever's next for each of you, realize that that's your real value add on a board like this. Your ability to bring the conversation back to a strategic level of thinking. So thank you.
Thank you, Cammie.
And Madam
Thank
Chair,
you, Cammie. Appreciate it.
I'm sorry. Madam Chair, this is Stan, if I might, as well. Thank you. So I thanked Norm a little bit earlier, and I continue to appreciate everything that Norm has done. So these comments are for Andy, and I would like to echo the sentiments of our colleague board members. Andy, what a great job you've been doing for the community. You've been doing it a long time. I appreciate your mentorship, and when I first got involved in this work as an elected official, you were so helpful to me in helping to describe so many of the issues that are going on in the community. You've been a great advisor in kind of our continued relationship between the county and the city, and I am really looking forward to some great work that you will most likely do as one of our legislators from our area. I look forward to working with you on that. And then one last note, you've got a pretty nice background there, spreading holiday cheer. So there you go. You're still doing it, working on, making our community a better place, even with the background. So congratulations, Andy. Congratulations on your win. I look forward to our board continuing to work with you, because we will. As we work through our legislative priorities, we'll certainly be interacting with you and the rest of our delegation. So thank you so much for your service.
Thanks, Dan. I appreciate that.
I just noticed the background myself. That is very festive, Andy. Very festive. Feliz Navidad.
Feliz Navidad.
Okay. Well, thank you, everyone. And Andy, you missed the portion of the meeting where we did honor Norm with the first Communities Working Together award. So it was
okay. Congratulations, Norm.
Hey, it's been great working with you. You were a great mentor. We worked together on a lot of big issues. So
yeah, you did.
Thank you, my friend.
Thank you, everyone. With that, we will move on to the last portion of the meeting, which is our reports. And we can start with military reports. I'm not sure who's here. I can't, doesn't look like there are any military on the line, but I could be completely wrong.
Madam Chair, it's Ron Jeffrey from the the Peterson-Schriever Garrison.
Good morning,
Ron. Good morning. I can provide a short update from the Garrison perspective. Recently, the Garrison Commander issued Public Health Directive number 3 related to our response to COVID and the uptick across Colorado and the local area and the number of positive cases. What this does, it reduces the number of folks who can be in person in each individual office to no more than 25% by encouraging maximum use of telework and alternate schedules. Certainly, we continue to man our operations centers at 100% to make sure that we can properly execute the missions that were assigned. So we continue to do what we can to manage the risk to our personnel and our operations based on COVID. One other update related to transportation is we watch with interest the work that's going on Highway 94. Thanks to CDOT for executing that effort. We also look forward to the CDOT update to the Garrison Commander concerning all the projects that are going on surrounding both Peterson Air Force Base and Schriever Air Force Base. So we're looking forward to that update, and thank John Liasatos for helping to coordinate that. One final note is our public affairs folks are working with the Girl Scouts of Colorado to try to set up a Zoom session so that some of our STEM focus professionals can provide information about what's going on in the Air Force and now the U.S. Space Force that involves certainly STEM activities and the contributions that young folks can make as they pursue their careers in the STEM career field. So with that, I'll pause and see if there's any questions.
Thank you, Ron. Appreciate that.
You're welcome.
Questions from board members? Okay, well, thank you again and Merry Christmas.
Thank you, Merry Christmas.
Military folks on the line? Okay, then we will move on to our CDOT update. Is there anyone?
Yep. Thank you, Madam Chair and board members. Richard Zamora with CDOT, the Region 2 Transportation Director. Got a couple of things I want to talk about, and I'm going to turn it over to Shane Ferguson, the North Program Engineer for our region, to give some project updates as well. So the first thing I wanted to talk about, I think at your last meeting, unfortunately, I wasn't able to attend, but John Hall gave a brief update and mentioned the governor's stimulus package. I think as most folks are aware, the governor's proposed within his budget for the next fiscal year to allocate some additional money to transportation to the tune of $200 million. $70 million of that for Safer Main Streets program, and the other 130 for other various highway projects. Largely, I think, going to be focused on how we get people out to our public lands and to our parks, those kinds of things. Just given the COVID situation, we've seen a huge increase in volumes and those kinds of things, and wanting to make sure we can provide good access to those outdoor activities since people can't do much indoors these days. So, that was not considered as part of the special session that just recently happened. It will be part of the regular session that's upcoming. And you can expect us to be having some conversations with you and all of our planning partners, as that moves forward in the legislature and what it looks like in trying to form, what our suggested priorities may be from our region. So there'll be a lot more to come on that, after the start of the year and once legislature starts their session. The other item I wanted to mention to you is, I think you had some conversation last month also about, concerns about the increase in accidents and fatalities within the region. We've seen the same thing. We are undertaking several things right now, but probably the biggest one we just kicked off earlier this week was to look at motorcycle safety. Within Region 2 alone, we had 61 motorcyclists that have died this year so far. It's a huge number. Just to put that in perspective, from the period of October 2018 to 2019, in comparison to 2019 to 2020, we've had 27 more fatalities on motorcycles. And so, that's a huge uptick in numbers. And so we had a kickoff meeting on Monday morning with some of our partners. Pikes was included in that, with State Patrol. We're talking about bringing in DMV and trying to figure out a way we can, stem the tide a little bit and make improvements for calendar year 2021 riding season. So there's a lot more to come on that. It's going to be a combination, I think, of, educational materials, enforcement materials, looking at some high crash locations and doing some engineering solutions. So it's a full gamut that we're looking at and trying to find ways to address some of the issue. So with that, if there's any questions for me, I'd be willing to take those. If not, we'll turn it over to Shane.
Thank you, Rich. Welcome, Shane.
Good morning, Madam Chair and board members. Shane Ferguson with the Colorado Department of Transportation. Just a few updates on current and active projects. For the MAMSIP project on State Highway 94, we are definitely progressing pretty well. We look to have that open. We're shooting for December 19th, just considering what some of the weather that's coming our way and the progress that we've made. We're going to be delayed just a little bit, and we're still looking at the 19th to have that fully striped and open. The remainder of the projects on that MAMSIP project is still progressing on the design and pre-construction phase. That work for most all those phases will begin in this spring, late winter, early spring is the hope for many of those components of the project. With respect to I-25, we've recently opened bids for a surface treatment project on ramps throughout the I-25 and State Highway 115 corridor. This project involves resurfacing the ramps at Interquest, Briargate, and North Academy, as well as the NORAD exit at State Highway 115. That work should begin in earnest, likely in early spring, depending on weather. And then the last project I'll mention as far as construction progress is the cable barrier project in Fountain on I-25. It's progressing well. We still are planning to have that completed by the end of the calendar year. Maybe some button-up items in the spring with respect to establishment of growth and that type of thing. But for all intents and purposes, that project will be completed at the end of the calendar year. With that, I will entertain any questions you may have of me.
Thank you, Shane. Any questions? Okay, you're very thorough, Shane. Thank you. Merry Christmas.
Merry Christmas all.
Okay, with that, we are on to STAC, and I believe this will be Norm's last presentation to us on the STAC meeting.
Well, yes, and it's an easy one because STAC had a very light agenda, no action items, so the CDOT staff polled members, and we voted to postpone or delay we had no meeting in December. So, Madam Chair, I have nothing to report on STAC for this month.
Great, thank you. Thank you, Norm. And with that, we move on to our last agenda item, which is the Executive Director report. Andy?
Thank you, Madam Chair. Just a couple of items real briefly. First of all, Legislative Roundtable. You'll recall we were trying to get that scheduled and had a date scheduled for last week until the special session occurred, so we had to change that, obviously. So we're looking at, I think it's still the first week in January or second week perhaps. We're trying to zoom in on a final date, and what we'll do is we will send out the link for the with the doodle poll, so we can get this nailed down hopefully fairly soon within the week, so we can get the roundtable scheduled with our legislative delegation. So keep an eye out for that. Shifting gears, just want to mention and give a little bit of a shout out to our case managers in the AAA. Open enrollment for Medicare finished this past Monday, and obviously in the age of COVID, everything's been thrown for a loop, but our case managers really did an outstanding job being very flexible and resilient and meeting seniors where they are, if you will, and helping them navigate the Medicare process. And they successfully navigated it once again. And we learned a lot of really good, valuable lessons and things that'll probably stick on the other side of the pandemic as well. So just wanted to give a shout out to our awesome case managers for how they were able to navigate that. Also want to mention, in the age of COVID, everything's been a little bit odd, and we've repurposed our downstairs conference room once again. And with Jody's leadership and others, we're accepting delivery of, I think it's 15 pallets of food boxes from FEMA. It's actually flowing from the state. So we're going to house them temporarily, but it's emergency food that we're going to distribute out across the entire region with the help of many of our nonprofits that we work with. So emergency food boxes are going to be delivered from all the way from Fountain up to Tri-Lakes, from I think Calhoun and Rush out to Teller County and Park County to help our seniors get through the rest of the pandemic and potentially difficult winter season. So thank you to Jody and everybody that's helping out with that. And then just finally, just want to thank you, Madam Chair, for all of your help, all of your support, and being so accessible and supportive of me and for us this year. Our folks have really done some amazing work this year, so appreciate all of your help and the entire board's help this year. Just had no idea what we were getting ourselves into when this all started, but we were able to accomplish a lot. So I appreciate your leadership and all of your support this year. So thank you.
Thank you, Andy. That's very kind. It's been a pleasure to be a part of this organization. So thank you. Okay, with that, we are done with our reports. And last but not least, we move on to member entity announcements. Does any jurisdiction have an announcement they'd like to share?
This is Commissioner Brimmer. I just wanted to remind people that today is actually in just a few minutes at 11 o'clock is the State of the Region. And that annual address has gone entirely virtual and is a Zoom meeting. I'm quite sure that we could still manage to get somebody a Zoom link if needed. But Commissioner Waller, our outgoing chair, will be delivering that address. But it's got a lot of great updates about what the county's been able to do, particularly with CARES Act funding, and much of that went to our regional partners and entities as well. So hope you can tune in and hear that update.
Thank you, Cami. I will be there. I was caught by the idea of a fireside chat, so it'll be cozy.
This is Councilmember Thompson.
Go ahead, Sharon.
Yeah, we're excited. As many of you know, REACH recently closed, leaving a gap in services in many areas. And we are excited that we have just entered into a relationship with Care and Share. It's going to be opening what they call a Sunnyside Market down in our Wortman Center building where the REACH was working. It'll be opening mid-January probably, and people will be able to actually come in and shop, and rather than just pick up a box, they can actually come in and shop for things that they need for their household, so they don't go home with a bunch of stuff that maybe they potentially can't use. It'll be the first one, and their board of directors just approved it. So we are very excited to be able to have that service for another opportunity for our citizens in town to be able to have their food needs met.
That's great news, Sharon. Thank you for sharing that with us.
Madam Chair, oh, go ahead, Norm.
Oh, well, thanks, Dan. Just not from Teller County, but I do have a reminder for our county commissioners on the phone. This afternoon at 3 p.m. is a CCI call. We are meeting with the chairman of the Senate Transportation and the House Transportation Committees at 3 p.m. today, CCI. I'd love to have a solid representation of the Pikes Creek region on that call. We're going to be talking about legislation pending for 2021 and transportation funding. 3 p.m. today.
Okay.
Thank you. And Madam Chair, if I might.
Yes, go ahead, please.
Yeah, thank you. Just wanted to wish a great holiday season and Christmas for everybody. You know, the next meeting we have for PPACG will be on the other side of our holiday season, and talk about a tough year, no question about that. But you know, the next few weeks is the time that most of us will have an opportunity to reflect on our blessings, the things that we do have, our families and our friends, and the great work that we've done. And it's also a time to kind of refresh our batteries and get ready for 2021 so that we can continue to do the work of the citizens of our communities. So I just wanted to wish everybody a Merry Christmas and a Happy Holidays. Oh. And let's come out on the other side ready to do more work. Thank you.
This is Yolanda. I have something to share as well.
Okay, go ahead. And thank you, Stan.
You're welcome.
On Tuesday, December 15th, I will be hosting, along with Susan Whelan, a COVID-19 summit in Southeast Colorado Springs. The two zip codes, 80910 and 80916, have been the hardest hit in the entire county, El Paso County. And so we're going to talk about grit and the impact to mental health and what's going on there. So if any of you would like to join, I would be happy to send that link. It'll be from 6 to 8, again on December 15th. Thank you.
Thanks, Yolanda. Anyone else?
Yeah, Yolanda, this is Stan. Would it be too much trouble if you just sent that to all of the board members here, or had somebody on the city council staff do that or something? That'd be great, just so we can all have the link.
That'd be my pleasure.
Thanks, Dan. Anyone else? All right then. Well, with that, I wish all of you a Merry Christmas and a safe and happy holiday season. And I'm sure that we'll see you on the Zoom in the next couple weeks, and be safe and be well. So thank you. It's been a pleasure.
Christmas. Happy New Year.
Happy New Year.
Merry
Bye.
Christmas, Feliz Navidad. See you on the flip side.
We're adjourned. Thanks, Andy.
Thank you.
Oceans away.
Jill, do you have like a list of them there that you have to say today?
No.
Okay.
Bye.
We'll have to come up with the Air Force ones in January.
Yeah, anchors away. It's anchors away.